For 30 years, the leading power of the European Union seemed predetermined. Germany had the industry, France had the army and nuclear weapons, Brussels had the institutions, and the countries of Central Europe were still considered part of the periphery. A low-cost production area, a market to be integrated, sometimes a buffer zone between the continent's great powers. But the Europe that had produced this hierarchy is disappearing. Cheap energy is no longer guaranteed, German growth is running out of steam, war has returned. On the continent, the United States is asking Europeans to take on an increasing share of their own security. Trade routes, supply chains, and military infrastructure are once again seen as instruments of power. And in this new Europe, one country is moving faster than the others, Poland. In 2025, its economy grew by 3.6% compared to 0.2% for Germany. The European Commission is forecasting further Polish growth of 3.5% in 2026, driven by consumption, investment, and the massive use of European funds. At the same time, Warsaw is dedicating nearly 5% of its gross domestic product to defense. Abrams and K2 tanks are being delivered by the hundreds. The first F-35S landed in Poland in May 2026. Artillery systems, rocket launchers, and air defenses are being deployed at a pace that few European states can match today. So the question is no longer just whether Poland can catch up with Western Europe. The question is whether tomorrow's Europe will have to organize itself around Poland. Welcome to Terra Bellum. Before getting back to our topic, there's a very simple question. If we're already spending time on our phones, why not try to get something out of it? This segment is sponsored by Free Cash, a free platform that lets you earn rewards by testing mobile games, apps, surveys, and different offers. Let me show you how it works. I've activated several offers to see how it works. The interface is pretty simple and straightforward. You choose an offer, for example, this mobile game. You open it from Free Cash, then you follow the steps shown. It's important to allow app tracking when asked. Otherwise, your progress might not be counted correctly. The idea isn't to promise some magical income. If something seems too good to be true, there's usually a business model behind it. Here, the principle is simple. Brands want people to discover their games or services, and Free Cash gives you back part of that value as a reward. You can then withdraw using the available options: PayPal, gift card, crypto, or another method. The interface might vary slightly, but the process remains the same. Free Cash also highlights a high Trustpilot rating and a €10 bonus for eligible users who start their first offer with my link or the displayed QR code. Poland is not a small country located somewhere between Berlin and the Ukrainian border. It represents about 8% of the population of the European Union and remains its fifth most populous state, behind Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. It has a territory of more than 300,000 square kilometers, access to the Baltic Sea, a large domestic market, and a central position between Western Europe, the Baltic countries, the Balkans, and the Ukrainian region. For a long time, this geography was seen as a vulnerability. Now, it is becoming an advantage. The major European flows are moving eastward. The logistical needs are increasing between the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea. Ukraine will have to be rebuilt one day. The Baltic states are strengthening their connection with the rest of Europe. Scandinavia is getting closer militarily and economically to the eastern flank of the continent. Now, all these dynamics go directly or indirectly through Poland. What you need to understand is that Polish power is not based on a single sector. It is built on accumulated strengths: population, industry, infrastructure, geographical position, army, and political will. Poland is no longer a periphery. It is becoming a crossroads. Poland's first weapon is not its army, it's its growth. Between 2004 and 2024, the real income of Polish households per capita increased by 91%. Only a few European economies have experienced a comparable rise. Between 2000 and 2024, Polish industrial production increased by an average of 4.9% per year, one of the best performances in the entire European Union. The country has benefited from German, French, American, and Asian investments. But Poland should not be reduced to a low-cost manufacturing base for Western companies. Its domestic market is vast. In 2025, its unemployment rate was among the lowest in the Union, at around 3.1%. These cities attract digital services, finance, logistics, the automotive industry, household appliances, aerospace, and now an increasing share of defense-related investments. Warsaw, Krakow, Poznan, Gdansk. Polish growth is no longer concentrated in a single oversized capital. It is based on several urban, industrial, and academic centers. Poland also has its own currency, the zloty, so it retains a monetary lever that the countries of the Eurozone have transferred to the European Central Bank. This involves risks, especially regarding inflation, but also provides strategic room for maneuver. And above all, the catch-up is not over yet. In terms of GDP per capita, measured in purchasing power, Poland is still between 10 and 20 below the European average. This lag is a social weakness, but it also represents a potential for convergence. An economy that has already reached the top must invent new engines of growth. A catching-up economy can still gain in productivity, modernize its infrastructure, and shift activities towards sectors with higher added value. Poland is also receiving massive European investments. The growth forecast for 2026 is based in particular on the acceleration of the use of union funds. Warsaw is thus transforming European money into highways, railways, energy networks, industrial equipment, and military capabilities. The irony is pretty rich. The European Union could financially contribute to the emergence of the country that tomorrow will challenge the dominance of its founding members. This is where Poland's trajectory becomes spectacular. In 2026, the defense budget is expected to reach about 200 billion zlotys, which is nearly 4.8% of the GDP. More than half of this amount is to be spent on new equipment. No other major country in the European Union is currently making a comparable effort in proportion to its economy. Poland is purchasing 250 Abrams M1A2 tanks in their SEP V3 version, in addition to 116 Abrams M1A1 tanks. It is also committed to acquiring South Korean K2 tanks and hundreds of K9 self-propelled howitzers. The first Abrams M1A2 SEP V3 tanks arrived in January 2025, and deliveries are expected to continue until 2026. In the air, Warsaw has ordered 32 F-35s. The first 3 aircraft intended to operate from Polish territory joined the ASK base on May 22, 2026. The country has also signed a contract for 96 Apache attack helicopters with deliveries scheduled between 2028 and 2030. Poland is also set to become the world's second largest operator of the Apache, behind the United States. Obviously, we must also include the Patriot system, Chang'e rocket launchers, artillery programs, drones, air defense systems, and investments in munitions. Taken separately, each of these contracts is impressive. Together, they tell a different story. Poland is not simply modernizing an old army, it is trying to build one of the largest and most modern land forces on the continent. But the real ambition goes even further. Warsaw is gradually seeking to produce, maintain, or assemble some of its equipment on its own territory. Cooperation with South Korea includes technology transfers related to the K2PL Tank A factory is to be established in Poland to produce rockets for the Omar Marka system. In May 2026, an agreement was also signed to establish a European maintenance center for Abrams tank engines in Dublin. This is an essential point. Buying weapons provides military capability. Producing parts, training technicians, providing maintenance, and controlling part of the supply chains gives industrial capability. Lasting power begins precisely when military spending stops being just a bill and becomes an economic ecosystem. This way, Poland can attract American and South Korean technologies, develop its own companies, train engineers, and become an essential logistics hub for European armies. So it's not just accumulating tanks, it's accumulating bargaining power. This rise is all the more interesting because Poland is politically divided. Since August 2025, the presidency has been held by Karol Nawrocki. The government is still led by Donald Tusk. The two men belong to opposing camps and clash over institutions, society, Europe, and the definition of national sovereignty. Yet, on major strategic issues, their differences do not run as deep as they seem. In February 2026, after hearing the presentation of the government's foreign policy, Nawrocki himself acknowledged that the presidency and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs were aligned on fundamental issues. The president advocates for a sovereign and militarily powerful Poland. The Tusk government is pursuing major armament programs, strengthening European partnerships, and seeking to place Warsaw at the center of continental decision-making. Governments change, but the pursuit of power remains. That is probably the most important signal. When a strategy survives a change in government, it ceases to be a partisan policy. It becomes a state policy. To become the leading power in the European Union, Poland must not only be strong, it must become indispensable to others. That's the whole point of the Three Seas Initiative, which now unites 13 European Union countries between the Baltic, Adriatic, and Black Seas. Its official goal is to develop transport, energy, and communication infrastructure along the north-south axis, which has long been less integrated than the axis connecting Germany to Eastern Europe. Via Baltica, Via Carpathia, and Rail Baltica, energy interconnection, ports, gas terminals, digital networks. Behind the rather soporific language of regional summits, a true architecture of power is taking shape. The one who finances the roads controls part of the flows. The one who organizes the networks becomes the center. The one who becomes the center ends up defining political priorities. In April 2026, the public development banks of several countries involved in the initiative signed a preparatory agreement for the creation of a new infrastructure fund. Regional cooperation is therefore gradually taking on a financial and institutional dimension. The future reconstruction of Ukraine could further accelerate this movement. Companies, goods, capital, and equipment destined for the Ukrainian market will have to pass through ports, railways, highways, and logistics platforms. Thanks to its size and position, Poland is best placed to become the main European gateway to this area. That would be a significant shift. Germany had built its European dominance by organizing industrial chains from west to east. Poland could build its own by organizing flows from north to south. Let's be clear, Poland won't overtake Germany overnight. The German economy is still much larger. Its industry remains extremely powerful. Its industries, its banks, its regulatory influence, and its position in European institutions remain unmatched in Warsaw. But power isn't a snapshot, it's a trajectory. Germany is still wealthier, but its economy only grew by 0.2 in 2025. Poland remains less wealthy per capita, but it is growing faster, investing massively, and is at the center of new European strategic concerns. Berlin had dominated a period based on trade, affordable energy, military restraint, and open markets. Warsaw could dominate a Europe based on security, the defense industry, strategic infrastructure, energy sovereignty, and competition between powers. Poland will therefore not replace Germany by becoming a new Germany. It could replace it because Europe is gradually ceasing to be German. Now let's imagine Europe in 2040. Poland has continued its economic catch-up, and its infrastructure connects the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. Its defense industry produces armored vehicles, rockets, drones, and ammunition for several European armies. Its territory hosts maintenance centers, logistics platforms, and strategic factories. Ukraine has been rebuilt and deeply integrated into the European market. Much of its trade with the European Union therefore passes through Poland. The Baltic states, Romania, Czechia, Slovakia, and several Scandinavian countries often rely on Warsaw to protect their interests.
Varsovie pour défendre leurs intérêts.
Poland does not control the European Union. It does not give orders to Paris or Berlin, but no major decision regarding security, Eastern infrastructure, Ukraine, energy, or the military industry can be made without it. In this scenario, the leading European power is no longer necessarily the one with the highest GDP. It's the one around which the others are forced to organize, and that country could be Poland. For centuries, Polish geography was seen as a curse, too close to the great powers, too exposed, too Eastern to dominate the West, too Western to control the East. But the balance of power is changing. That same geography now places Poland at the center of the military, industrial, energy, and commercial flows that are reshaping the continent. It has a large population, a growing economy, low unemployment, a developing industry, an army undergoing transformation, and above all, a drive for power that has been shared by several successive governments. Nothing guarantees that Poland will become the leading power of the European Union. Its population is declining, its military effort is expensive, its political divisions are deep, and Germany, like France, still has far greater resources in many areas. But the central question is no longer whether Poland will remain a secondary power. That era is over. The real question is how far it can rise. Because while Western Europe tries to preserve the old order, Warsaw is already investing in the one to come. And history rarely rewards countries that merely possess the greatest legacy. It rewards those who understand before others that the world has changed. Thank you very much for watching this video. The Terabellum adventure has been going on for nearly 8 years, and without you, it wouldn't be possible. There are still about 45% of you watching our videos without subscribing. Please know that it's free, and subscribing as well as liking helps YouTube promote these videos to a larger audience. It helps us tremendously to keep creating this content for you. Thank you, and see you next Sunday. Thank you very much for watching this video. The Terabellum adventure has been going on for nearly 8 years, and without you, it wouldn't be possible. There are still about 45% of you watching our videos without subscribing. Please know that it's free, and subscribing as well as liking helps YouTube promote these videos to a larger audience. It helps us a lot to keep creating this content for you. Thank you, and see you next Sunday.